It is in his vision of a superior Singapore that Lee has revealed to the rest of the world probably the most controversial, if not indeed unacceptable, of his beliefs. People, he maintains, are not supposed to be equal.
The human being is an unequal creature. This is a fact. And we start off with a proposition. All great religions, all great movements, all great political ideologies say, let us make the human being as equal as possible. In fact, he is not equal, never will be.
We had to lock up people without trial, whether they are communists, whether they are language chauvinists or religious extremists. If you don't do that, the country would be in ruins today. We allow American journalists in Singapore in order to report Singapore to their fellow countrymen. We allow their newspapers to sell in Singapore so that we can know what foreigners are reading about us. But we cannot allow them to assume a role in Singapore that the American media plays in America. That of invigilator, adversary, and inquisitor of the administration.
Why do you have so little faith in the ability of your people, so well educated, to make intelligent judgments on diversity of ideas, on competing news?
I have been in office for now 29 years. I have won 7 general elections since my first in 1959. I think that qualifies me at least to be able to say that I do know Singapore better than the questioner.
Few, if any, in Singapore had the boldness to challenge the authorities, knowing the serious consequences that could be anticipated. They all knew their Prime Minister ruled with an iron hand.
Whoever governs Singapore must have that iron in him, or give it up. This is not a game of cards. This is your life and mine. I've spent a whole lifetime building this. And as long as I'm in charge, nobody's going to knock it down.
So people always said that you are using the libel laws to threaten your
Well,
political rivals.
The same laws apply to me. Nobody has ever sued me for libel because I do not defame my enemies.
He has never lost a case in Singapore, you know. And he has commenced something like, more than 20 odd cases, and he has won in every one of them. Now let's stop and pause. How is it possible?
What are our priorities? First, the welfare, the survival of the people. Then, the democratic norms and processes, which from time to time we have to suspend.
To Lee, public opinion polls are not worth a bean. His philosophy is that the nation's leaders should never dance to the public's tune.
I ignore polling as a method of government. I think that shows a certain weakness of mind, an inability to chart a course. Whichever way the wind blows, whichever way the media encourages the people to go, you follow. You're not a leader.
In America and Britain, or any other country that shares their principles of democracy and freedom, political leaders are constant subjects of caricature and satire, and most are wise enough not to take offense. But not in Singapore. Lee insists that leaders in Asia should be accorded respect.
If you keep on mocking your leader and poking fun at him every day, and he has no right of reply, it is very difficult for him to command your respect. I say without the slightest remorse that we wouldn't be here, we would not have made the economic progress if we had not intervened on very personal matters. Who your neighbor is, how you live, the noise you make, how you spit or where you spit, or what language you use. Had we not done that and done it effectively, we would not be here today.
Lee is health conscious. He neither smokes nor drinks, and swimming is his daily exercise.
郑先生是不是每天都游泳？
每天都游泳，
没有停过吧？
有时没有办法了。如果太忙的时候，
怪不得你的身体那么好。
一定要有运动才可以。
有没有特别的养生之道？
不要吃太多，够睡觉，够运动。工作也需要有兴趣。
It was indeed the Lee who took cleanliness and health seriously, who set about transforming the unsightly Singapore of old into the Singapore that's known as the clean garden city of today.
And even from my sick bed, even if you are going to lower me to the grave and I feel that something is going wrong, I'll get up.
It is in his vision of a superior Singapore that Lee has revealed to the rest of the world probably the most...
Give thanks and praise. Give thanks and praise. Give thanks and praise. Sovereign Affidavit of truth. Be it known to all who call themselves government, their courts, their agents, and any other parties, that I, Ahua, also known as Linton-O'Neill, of the House of Dallas, the living soul manifests as man, natural, freeborn, sovereign, in an individual capacity, without subjects. I am neither subject to any entity anywhere, nor is any entity subject to I as man. I neither dominate anyone, nor am I dominated by anyone. I am not a person as defined in statutes, when such definitions includes artificial entities. I refuse to be treated as a federal or state-created entity, which is only capable of exercising certain rights, privileges, or immunities as specifically granted by federal or state governments. I may voluntarily choose to comply with the laws which others attempt to impose upon me, but no such laws nor their enforcers have any authority over I as man. I am not in any jurisdiction, for I am not of subject status. Again, I repeat that. I am not in any jurisdiction, for I am not of subject status. Unless I have willfully harmed or violated someone or someone's property without their consent, I have not committed any crime, and am therefore not subject to any penalty. Thus, be it known to all that I reserve my natural rights not to be compelled to perform under any contract that I did not enter into knowingly, voluntarily, and intentionally. Furthermore, I do not accept the liability associated with the compelled and pretended benefit of hidden or unrevealed contract or commercial agreement. As such, the hidden or unrevealed contract that supposedly create obligations to perform for persons of subject status are inapplicable to I, this man, and are null and void ab initio from its beginning, from its inception. If I have participated in any of the supposed benefits associated with these hidden contracts, I have done so under duress for lack of any other practical alternative. I may have received such benefits, but I have not accepted them in a manner that binds me to anything. Any such participation does not constitute acceptance because of absence of full disclosure of any valid offer and voluntary consent without misrepresentation or coercion. Without a valid voluntary offer and acceptance, knowingly entered into by both parties, there is no meeting of the mind. I'll repeat that. Without a valid voluntary offer and acceptance, knowingly entered into by both parties, there is no meeting of the minds, and therefore no valid contract. Any supposed contract is therefore void, again, ab initio, from the beginning. From my age of consent to the date affixed below, I have never signed a contract knowingly, willingly, intelligently, voluntarily, and intentionally, whereby I have waived any of my natural inherent rights, and as such, take notice that I revoke, cancel, and make void ab initio my signature or mark on any and all contracts, agreements, forms, or any instrument which may be construed in any way to give any agency or department of any government, any authority, any venue, or jurisdiction over this sovereign man. Give thanks. Give thanks. Give thanks and praise. Yeah, man. It's always a step-by-step process. And this is for common people. Yeah, man, to at least be able to have alternative views. Yeah, man. Typical example of such compelled and pretend benefits are: 1. Birth certificate or birth registration form. The fact that a birth certificate was issued to me by a local hospital or government agency when I was born is irrelevant to my sovereignty. No status, high or low, can be assigned to another person or can be assigned to a man or woman through a piece of paper without the recipient's full knowledge and consent. Therefore, such a piece of paper provides date and place of information or date and place information only. It indicates nothing about jurisdiction, nothing about property ownership, nothing about rights, and nothing about subject status. The only document that can have any significance as it concerns my status in society are those which I have signed as an adult with full knowledge and consent, free from misrepresentation or coercion of any kind. Number 2, the use of national currency to discharge my debts, all debts. I have used these only because there is no other widely recognized currency. Number 3, the use of a bank account. If there is any hidden contract behind any account, my signature therewith gives no validity to it. The signature mark is only for verification of identity. I cannot be obligated to fulfill any hidden or unrevealed contract whatsoever due to the absence of full disclosure and voluntary consent. Likewise, my use of the bank account is due to the absence of an alternative. Not use any bank at all is very difficult and impractical. The use of a driver's license. There is no real need for me to have such a license for traveling in a car. However, if I am stopped for any reason and found to be without a license, it is likely I would be unduly harassed and penalized. Yes. Therefore, under duress, I carry a license only to avoid extreme inconvenience. Now, this is for the people where is in such a capacity. Number 5, state plates on my car. Similarly, if I have registered my car with the state and carry the state plates on it, I have done so only because to have any other plates or no plates at all causes me to run the risk of police officer harassment and extreme inconvenience. Hence, we use a state plates. Number 6, the use of a passport. There is no real need for me to have a passport or other associated permits, visas, etc. to travel. I have the right to travel without hindrance, wherever, however, and whenever I choose or wish, so long as I do not encroach upon the private property of others. Though without a passport, my right to travel is unduly hindered. Therefore, under duress, I only use a passport to prevent extreme inconvenience and to ensure that I can travel from one country to another at all. Number 7, past filing of tax returns. Because such tax returns were filed under threat, duress, and coercion, and no two-way contract was ever signed with full disclosure, there is nothing in any past filing of tax returns or payments that create any valid contract. Therefore, no obligation on my part was ever created. Number 8, past enrollment and voting. Past enrollment and voting. Similarly, since no obligation to perform in any manner has ever revealed in print as part of the requirements for the supposed privilege to enroll and vote, any such enrollment or voting does not oblige I to do anything, nor grant any jurisdiction over I to any entity, foreign or domestic. Number 9, citizenship. Any document I may have ever signed in which I answered yes to the question, are you a, whatever the place is, Jamaican citizen, cannot be used to compromise my status as a sovereign, nor obligate me to perform in any manner. This is because without full written disclosure of the definition and consequences of such supposed citizenship, provided in a document bearing my signature given freely without misrepresentation or coercion, there can be no binding contract. Yeah, man, without full written disclosure of the definition and consequences of such supposed citizenship, provided in the document bearing my signature, autograph, or mark, given freely without misrepresentation or coercion, there can be no binding contract. You may presume a contract, but can you validate that it's a binding contract? I am not a Jamaican citizen. I am not a resident of Jamaica, not even an inhabitant of Jamaica, nor a franchise of Jamaica, nor a subject of Jamaica, nor a ward of the state of Jamaica, nor the property of the state of Jamaica, nor the courts, nor a chattel, nor subject to the jurisdiction of any monarchy or any corporate commonwealth, federal, state, territory, county, council, city, municipal, body politic, or other government, allegedly created under the authority of a constitution or other enactment. I am not subject to any legislation, department, or agency created by such authorities, nor to the jurisdiction of any employees, officers, or agent deriving their authority therefrom, nor do any of the statutes or regulation of such authorities apply to this sovereign man in his sovereign state capacity, or have any jurisdiction over this sovereign man in his sovereign state capacity. Further, I am not a subject of any courts or bound by precedents of any courts deriving their jurisdiction from said authorities. Take notice that I hereby cancel and make void from the beginning ab initio any such instrument or any presumed election made by any government or any agency or department thereof, that I am or ever have voluntarily elected to be treated as a subject of any monarchy or a Jamaican citizen or a resident of any commonwealth, state, territory, possession, instrumentality, enclave, division, district, or province subject to their jurisdictions. Number 10, Constitution. The document supposedly setting forth the foundation of a country and its government has no inherent authority or obligation. The Constitution has no authority or obligation at all unless as a contract between two or more individuals, and then it is limited only to those individuals who have specifically entered into that contract. At most, such a document could be a contract between the existing people at the time of its creation, but no one has the right, authority, or power to bind their posterity. I have not knowingly, voluntarily, or intentionally entered into any such constitution, contract, or obliged myself thereby. Therefore, such a document is inapplicable to I. It's very applicable to you, the public servants. And anyone claiming to derive their authority from such a document has no jurisdiction over me. They never have. Because I'm the source and the author of all of this. it derived from I. Yeah, man. We, the people. But if the people are missing it, then as an individual in such a capacity, we have to shine light on it. Number 11, use of semantics. There are some immature people with mental imbalances, such as the craving to dominate other people, psychopath, who masquerade as government and call the noises and scribbles that emanate from their mouth and pen the law, which must be obeyed. Just because they alter definition of words in their law books to their supposed advantage doesn't mean I accept those definitions. The fact that they define the words person, address, male, resident, motor vehicle, driving, passenger, employee, income, and many others in ways different from the common usage, so as to be associated with a subject or slave status, meaning nothing in real life. Well, I guess I talk about the legalese, where them have a legal and probably constitutional definition for words being used within their documents, which is separate and distinct from the ordinary definitions. Because the courts have become entangled in the game of semantics, be it known to all courts and all parties that if I have ever signed any document or spoken any word on record using words defined by twist in any law, books different from the common usage, there can be no effect whatsoever on my sovereign status in society thereby, nor can there be created any obligation to perform in any manner. But the mere use of such words, or by the mere use of such words. So then basically I said, the legalese were used within a courts that the common folk is totally unaware of. It not really interfere with sovereign state capacity, and it cannot. Where the definition in the common dictionary differs from the definition in law dictionary, it is the definition in the common dictionary that prevails because it is more trustworthy. Interesting. Such compelling supposed benefits include, but are not limited to, the aforementioned typical examples. My use of such alleged benefits is under duress only, and is with full reservation of all my natural inherent rights. I have waived none of my intrinsic rights and freedoms by my use thereof. Furthermore, my use of such compelled benefits may be temporary until alternatives become available, practical, and widely recognized. Revocation of power of attorney. Revocation of power of attorney. Revocation of all assumed or all presumed power of attorney. I hereby revoke, rescind, cancel, and make void any and all powers of attorney ab initio, in fact or otherwise implied in law or otherwise signed either by me or anyone else as it pertains to any tax file, identification number and or social security number or tax registration number or treasury registration number assigned to me as it pertains to my birth certificate or birth registration form, and as it pertains to any and all other numbers, licenses, certificates, and other instruments issued by any and all governments and quasi-governmental departments or agencies due to the use of various elements of fraud by said agencies to attempt to deprive me of my sovereign state capacity and my private personal properties. I hereby waive, cancel, repudiate, and refuse to knowingly accept any alleged benefits or gratuity associated with any of the aforementioned numbers, licenses, certificates, and other instruments. My use of any such numbers, licenses, certificate, or other instrument has been from information or has been for information purposes only and does not grant any jurisdiction to any foreign entity. Period. I do hereby revoke and rescind all powers of attorney, in fact or otherwise, signed by me or otherwise implied in law or otherwise, with or without my consent or knowledge, as it pertains to any and all property, real or personal, corporeal or incorporeal, obtained in the past, present, or future. I am the sole and absolute owner and possess allodial title to any and all such property. Take notice that I also revoke, cancel, and make void ab initio all powers of attorney, in fact, in presumption or otherwise, signed either by me or any other one else claiming to act on my behalf with or without my consent, as such power of attorney pertains to me or any property owned by me, by but not limited to, and all quasi-colorable public, governmental department, agency, or corporation on the grounds of constructive fraud, concealment, and non-disclosure of pertinent fact. Again, by constructive fraud, by concealment, and by non-disclosure of pertinent facts. I affirm that all of the foregoing is true and correct. I affirm that I am competent to make this affidavit. I hereby affix my own autograph mark to all the affirmations in the entire document, with explicit reservation of all my inherent, unalienable, inalienable fundamental rights and freedom, and my specific right not to be bound by any contract or obligation which I have not entered into knowingly, voluntarily, intentionally, and without misrepresentation, duress, or coercion. Further, I, the affiant, say it not. To God be the glory, to the Most High, Creator of nature, be the glory. Yeah, man. To the mystic laws of the universe, be the glory. Yeah, man. Hawa, the breath of life. The breath of life. We keep it simple. Yeah, man. Salute, my good brother Moses. Complete respect with power, my love. So this is the sovereign affidavit of truth. Yeah, man. From this chief counsel. Yeah, man. From the office of the Nestorian king. Yeah, man. Again, we just share information accordingly. At no time we are here to try to bring information for certain specific people. Get ahead of themselves where them just chase the materialistic side of all things, which is the illusion. When I see people operate that way, I know say them have the illusion of being awake, when they are no different from all those other political culprits. That's there like, you know, those things that let's say eat down your wood. Yeah. Those political culprits. Yeah, man. Vampire. Where them will come to see how them can improve themselves to benefit just themselves. We don't have too much interest in them kind of approach there, where people are come saying them want a better life. Them want, you know, things. You have the wrong concept. Because where you yearn for and say you want, you already possess. You just don't know how to access it. Most of the time we're getting a problem because of our desires, not necessarily with needs. It's usually with wants. You understand? This is why, the discipline come into play, because you have to maintain that kind of energy there where you say, watch, I'm a good man. I give thanks for the basic and we work with what we have. We build from the ground up, not from the sky coming down. No, we build from the ground up. Foundation of rooted on the framework of the earth. Them kind of foundation there. Them kind of truth there. Them kind of information there. Them kind of approach there. Step by step. So for most of the people them where have this adversarial nature where the government and all them want to do is tear down whatever structure is there, or to be an anarchist, or just to be disruptive. We're not about that. When we share information, it's just that. We not try to say, hey, drum. No, we say free will. Here is alternative information so you can choose to apply yourself. When we say Nestorian king, this is what it is. Servant of the people, our people. The people them will say, yeah, Nestorian king. For every single ones who subscribe to this platform, that is where my service is. You get me? Servant to I people. And I people, not just because you look like I. You get me? Because someone who will look like I, listen, I'm not play games with you guys, even though I look like I. Yeah, man. And I people can also be the people them where do not look like I. Because my find says a plethora of people when I look like I subscribe to this particular platform. Surprisingly. Not saying I have a problem with it, because I have never been what you would consider a racist like the good brethren Gerard Taylor over there. Where he might tell us, boy, I love him race. No different for I will say, yeah man, we love our people. The difference is that Gerard Taylor and his kind of people originate someplace else, not in this hemisphere. While I am the origin. That is the difference, huge difference. But people seem to ignore that and want equality. You want to come and mash we up, dominate with, and then tell we say, boy, when we, get our foot on the way, you gotta tell we say, boy, we not for throw you guys out. We not for remove ourselves from you guys' presence. We are all equal now. That you have that button where you can press. Now we are all equal. I beg to differ. I said this is who I am in this sovereign state capacity. Whereas only where most people would consider the Lord God Almighty. Yeah man, that great spirit that we keep on surround with. Nothing else, not governmental entity. We totally comprehend what it is. Yeah, man, now we now have not issue when we choose to say, you are there and I am here, and we can coexist harmoniously. This is our nature. Non-adverse, non-belligerent, non-combative. We just choose to stay neutral by our own choice. So our advocacy is freedom, freedom any, and freedom main. Information should be just that, free. We not necessarily Hamas now huge amount of money for grab them kind of information. Here we are share it free. But you say when no one come get up close and personal and engage all a man like me, just no waste of time. You understand? Yeah man, because we already have pushed the information there. So if you now go step up and say you can bring a strength to this office, do not step forward. Just go easy and work with the information that is out there on YouTube and take time get to know we and we build that way. Don't just step forward and say, hey, I want to do this and that, and you feel like you can have one of them conversations with a man like I consistently. And I might not oblige you for one time. You understand? But outside of that, make it go easy. Because everybody wants people's intellectual property freely. It's not about that. It's about sharing the information straight across the board. So the public officials, the public servant, they too have access. And the common folk, they too have access. And the scholars also have access. So it's straight across the board. So it's always free will. And it is a step-by-step process. There's no edict. Yeah, man, you have to choose to improve yourself in order to elevate from that base level and at least get to the basic level. It's a step-by-step process, people. Whoever in a rush might just get crushed, but the ones that are in it for the long haul, them will gain the clarity of it all, you know? Yeah, man. Them are going to gain that clarity in its totality. Yeah. So again, give thanks. Give thanks. Gratitude for the time. Gratitude again for the moment, and gratitude for your presence out there. Salute to our elevated state. Because we are rising up on all the way, but boy, I say a lot of way. They're on a level now where we can say, yeah, give thanks. So again, gratitude for our elevated state, for the ones that we are choose to apply themselves. No ego. No ego. Because we do the things that we most have never done yet. And still I wonder. So there is no ego. We are said truth. Freedom, free dominion, free domain. To God be the glory. Yeah, man. To the Most High Creator of nature be the glory. Give thanks and praise. This is why I like my island, irrespective of where them say I go on. Yeah, man. This is why I like my location. This hemisphere, America, irrespective of the commercial entrapment and enslavement. I love my location, man, and I do give thanks. Yeah, man. For this perfection, for this articulation, for this clarification, we do give thanks. We do give thanks. Out there, people. Yeah, man. Grand uprising. Keep that fire burning perpetually.